the signal your brain sends you. You're not even thinking about it anymore. Maybe you're scrolling, maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're lying in bed just a few seconds away from sleep. And then out of nowhere, that conversation comes back. One sentence, one tone, one moment that just didn't sit right. You replay it, try to find the thing that bothered you, but you can't name it, so you let it go. Here's what you're missing. Your brain doesn't replay random moments. It replays unprocessed ones. When something feels off, but you can't explain it, that's not overthinking. That's your mind flagging a signal it missed in real time. Think about the last time someone asked you for a favor. You said yes, not because you wanted to, but because saying no felt heavy. Not wrong, not forced, just heavy. You think you made a choice, but you responded to pressure you didn't consciously feel. That's the gap between what actually happened and what you told yourself happened. And here's the thing about that gap. People who understand psychology know exactly how to live inside it. Rule: if you feel confused after a conversation, don't dismiss it. Confusion is data, not weakness. The question isn't whether it's happening. The question is, how deep does it go? Because what you just heard, that's only the surface. The guilt switch. There's a specific kind of sentence that can change your decision without your permission. You won't find it in a psychology textbook, but you've heard it more than once. It sounds like this: after everything I've done for you, it's fine, I'll figure it out myself. Forget I asked. None of these are arguments. None of them give you a logical reason. They do something more effective. They trigger a biological response. Here's the mechanism. Your brain is wired for empathy. When someone signals pain, disappointment, or sacrifice, your mirror neurons fire. You feel a version of their discomfort inside your own body. And now, you're not thinking about your decision anymore. You're trying to make that discomfort stop. That's the switch. One moment, you had a clear boundary. The next, you're negotiating against yourself. Not because you were convinced, but because you were made uncomfortable until you chose relief. The dangerous part isn't that it works once, it's what happens after. Every time you say yes to escape guilt, your brain learns a new rule. Discomfort, say yes, and the threshold drops. Next time, you agree faster, with less resistance, without even noticing. Now, here's the part people almost never say out loud. The person doing this doesn't always know they're doing it, which means you can't rely on intention. You have to watch the pattern. Rule: guilt isn't proof you're wrong. It's proof someone activated your empathy to override your judgment. Your decision or theirs? That's a question worth sitting with, because some people don't stop at guilt. They go deeper. They don't just change what you feel. They change what you remember. Reality distortion. You bring it up calmly, clearly. You know what happened. And they look at you like you just described a dream. That's not what I said. You always do this. You twist things. Why would I say that? Think about it. You pause. Not because you're convinced, but because doubt appeared. Just a small one, a 1% crack. So you replay the moment again. Same memory, same words. But now, you're not sure how you sound. Am I certain enough to push back? Or will I look unstable if I'm wrong? So you soften. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I read too much into it. You didn't lose the memory. You lost confidence in it. And that's exactly the target. Gaslighting doesn't need to rewrite your past. It just needs to make you distrust your own interpretation of it. Because once you stop trusting your perception, you start outsourcing it. You check their face before forming an opinion. You wait for their reaction before deciding how you feel. You stop being the authority on your own experience. From the outside, you just seem hard to read. From the inside, it feels like you're losing your mind. You're not. You've just been trained to doubt a compass that was working perfectly fine. The rule: the moment you need someone else to confirm what you experienced, they've already started rewriting your reality. And once your reality becomes uncertain, your emotions become unstable, which makes the next tactic devastatingly effective. Chapter 4: The Reward and Withdrawal Trap. At some point, it was different. They noticed things no one else noticed, said things that felt almost designed for you. They made you feel seen, in a way that's hard to explain. You didn't question it. Why would you? But then, slowly, something changed. Not dramatically, not in a way you could point to, just a slight shift. A little less warmth, a little more distance. And now you're thinking about them more than before, replaying conversations, wondering what changed, trying to fix something you can't even define. Here's what's happening inside you. Your brain tagged that person as high value because they gave you a rare, intense reward, attention that felt specific and meaningful. And when that reward disappears, your brain doesn't detach, it obsesses. This is the same mechanism behind slot machines. Intermittent rewards create stronger attachment than consistent ones. Not because the person is better, but because unpredictability feels like possibility. Now watch your behavior in that phase. You become more available, more agreeable, more careful not to say the wrong thing. You think you're trying to reconnect, but you're actually being trained. Reward when you behave a certain way. Withdrawal when you don't. No rules stated, just a feeling of what works and what doesn't. And slowly, without realizing it, you reorganize yourself around keeping their approval. Rule: inconsistency doesn't mean indifference. It creates attachment. And attachment can be controlled. That's the trap. And here's the strangest part. Sometimes, they don't even need to say a word. Silence does the work for them. Chapter 5. Silence that speaks. No reply. Okay, they're probably busy. Still nothing. You reread your last message. Was it too much? Not enough? Did something shift and you missed it? You put your phone down. Pick it up again. Put it down. This is ridiculous. Stop. But here's what your rational mind isn't catching. You're not anxious about a delayed reply. You're anxious because your brain has learned that their silence means something, and it fills in the meaning with the worst possible option. They're upset. I did something wrong. It's over. None of that may be true, but your nervous system doesn't know that. It just knows signal absent, possible threat. So you move toward them. Another message, softer this time. Maybe even an apology for something you can't define. And the moment they reply, relief. Instant, physical relief. That relief becomes the reward, and your brain logs it. Chasing, relief, repeat. Now you're not just talking to someone, you're managing them, editing yourself, adjusting your tone, filtering your words. Not to be more honest, but to feel safer. Rule: if silence makes you anxious instead of peaceful, it's not space, it's a leash. So ask yourself, when did their absence gain more power than their presence? Because that's the moment you stopped being in a relationship and started being in a loop. Chapter 6. The exit from the pattern. When you hear something like this, you're not just learning, you're recognizing a feeling you've had before, but couldn't explain. A pattern you've been inside, but couldn't see. That recognition, that's the shift. And it matters more than any tactic. Because manipulation doesn't survive awareness. Not because people stop trying, but because you stop responding automatically. The guilt shows up, and you notice it before it becomes a decision. The silence comes, and you observe your reaction instead of acting on it. The inconsistency appears, and you see the pattern instead of chasing the person. Nothing dramatic happens. You don't confront, You don't announce. You just become harder to move. And here's what's interesting. People who use these tactics unconsciously, they don't fight harder when it stops working. They adjust, or they move on to easier targets. Either way, the dynamic changes because you changed. But here's what really matters. The goal isn't to distrust everyone. The goal isn't hypervigilance. The goal is to close the gap between what happens and what you tell yourself happened, between the signal your body sends and the story your mind creates to dismiss it. That gap is where control lives, not in the other person, but in the space between your instinct and your response. Shrink that gap, and you take your power back. Rule: you are never too sensitive. You are noticing things without knowing what to do with them. Now, you do.